Sorry. I think we're all present and correct that they will be attending today. So welcome to the Education Committee, and I will start with apologies for absence. I think is highly appropriate.
I haven't actually received any.
Oh, I know Councillor O'Donnell and Councillor Devlin are away. Councillor O'Donnell's been away for a few weeks. Sorry? It's a sort of Easter period, I think. Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Okay, Jennifer? All right, thank you. And I think that's all declarations. Sorry, apologies. Any declarations of interest? Next item. Okay. And we'll move on to the first item on the agenda then, please. It's promoting positive relationships and behaviour in East Renfrewshire ELC settings and schools, a report from Director of Education, but I believe it will be Siobhan that's presenting. Thank you, Siobhan.
Thank you, Convener. The purpose of this report is to update the Education Committee and seek approval of the revised Standard Circular 21, promoting positive relationships and behaviour in East Renfrewshire settings and schools. This Standard Circular provides the current national context which surrounds promoting positive behaviour, including Curriculum for Excellence, the Additional Support for Learning Scotland Act, United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and included, engaged and evolved suite of publications. It's been developed with the belief that all settings and schools provide an ethos of support which is underpinned by trauma-informed nurturing approaches and includes a range of strategies to support meeting the needs of all learners and ensuring successful outcomes, which include nurturing school approaches, restorative practices, solution-focused practice, partnership working and behaviour support strategies. An ethos of mutual respect is promoted in order to develop a sense of community where pupils feel secured, nurtured, valued, and where staff provide learners with clear expectations and boundaries in relation to their behaviour. Our schools are effective in empowering pupils to be young leaders and positive role models through highly effective approaches such as mentors in violence, peer mediation, play zone leaders, and young leaders of learning. I'm delighted that Kate Sinclair, head teacher of Eastwood High School, has joined us, along with Adam Fergus, who's in S5, and Adam Smith from S4. They've agreed to join us today to further share their approaches in promoting positive behaviour in school. And these approaches were highlighted as good practice during a thematic review on anti-bullying carried out by HMI. So Education Committee is asked to approve and comment on the updated Standard Circular, promoting positive relationships and behaviour in East Renfrewshire settings and schools, and ask the Director of Education to take appropriate steps to ensure its implementation in all schools in early learning and childcare settings. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan. And so now we're going to go to wrong side. Over to Kate Sinclair and Adam Fergus and Adam Smith to talk to us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As Siobhan said, my name is Kate Sinclair and I am fortunate and proud to be the head teacher of Eastwood High School. To give you a bit of background in the school roll is just about to go over 1,200 pupils. It's a very diverse school and we celebrate all the different cultures within the school. 28% of our pupils have an additional support need and our average Scottish index of multiple deprivation is 7.5. And all of this adds to the rich and positive ethos that exists across our school community. I am a new head teacher. I've been in post just about 2 years now. And one of the first things I did was to work with the pupils and the staff and the parents to refresh our school vision and values. It's not on the screen just now. No. Okay, sorry. Apologies. The vision is that we're working together to create an inclusive environment where young people thrive and achieve their full potential, and our values of respect, kindness, honesty and respect are embedded across our whole school. The ethos in the school is very positive, and for me one of the most important things is that pupils are involved in the wider community and get involved in extracurricular activities. There are a number of photographs which are appearing on, and this will give you an example of some of the things that our pupils are involved in. But I think if you want to promote positive behaviour and positive relationships, this is key to that. We have the highest number of pupils taking part in extracurricular activities across the authority, and there are a number of different ways, as you can see from the pictures, that the pupils can get involved and that they can demonstrate their talents. All pupils in the school have a pastoral support teacher, and this year we are relaunching our house system with the introduction of a new house so that they're all linked to the pastoral care staff. The house names represent all the areas in the community, Newton Mearns, Nailston and Uplamure, who feed into our school. In our recent, as Siobhan said, HMIE thematic inspection, pupil leadership was identified as an area of strength in the school. And you can see the different groups that we've got there, and the boys are here to speak about that in a minute. Anti-bullying ambassadors, mentors and violence prevention ambassadors, Healthier Mind peer champions, and then we've got our senior leadership team and our pupil council. In addition to that, we're also a Gold Rights Respecting School. We've got Level 1 Vision Schools Award, and we've got the Silver Charter for LGBT. Partnership working is important in promoting positive behaviour and supporting our young people, and we work together with the whole community. Our librarian also leads the volleyball in the school, and he delivers inserts in classes. Our campus officer delivers PSHE lessons and works to support the parents in the school, and we adopt a preventative measure rather than a reactive. When HMIE were in the school recently, special mention was made of the bespoke supports that are in place. And the quote from that is, it's bespoke in the true sense of the word. It's not just a one size fits all. And for us, it's really important that we meet the needs of all the young people in our school. We think about where they want to go in their career. And when pupils are not as motivated or not doing so well, we try and put supports in place. And an example of that is we brought Tigers in to work with a group of S4 pupils who were not motivated and struggling, and they go out for a full day a week to work with them in construction and learning different trades. And the positive impact that's had in the other times that they're in school, you just can't measure that. It's just been absolutely superb. All of this is a positive impact on our pupils, as you can see, and we have been asked by HMIE to develop a case study for them on noteworthy and effective practice in pupil leadership. And obviously the young people are the most important. But what is the best way for you to hear about that? Certainly not from me. And I've brought along two pupils today, Adam Fergus and Adam Smith, who are going to talk to you about some of the pupil leadership that they were involved in the school.
Hi, my name's Adam Fergus. I'm an S5 pupil speaking on behalf of the Healthier Minds Champions. I received the training last year, and since then I've been able to grow in confidence to be able to speak to younger pupils, to create a safer environment for them so they can open up to us. And it's an informal way of connecting to them, just to help them adjust to the new life in high school, especially for the S1s. I'm really proud of how these things that we're now putting in place, such as the training and that, but there's still quite a bit to go, so I'm looking forward to continue working. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Adam Smith. I'm a fourth year in Eastwood High School, and this year I've trained to be an anti-bullying ambassador in the school. There are more than 40 of us trained in the school, and we've been awarded the Diana Award for this. It helped me realise what bullying actually is. It helped me in general about how I felt in school. I didn't want to come to school. I didn't really enjoy it. I was struggling and not doing well in my classes. After I'd taken on the leadership role and received my training, I spoke at assemblies, delivered PSHE lessons and made a video for parents. This really improved my confidence and made me more motivated and better in classes. Having anti-bullying ambassadors teaches everyone exactly what bullying is. Pupils listen better to people their own age, and I now do not really see bullying in the school. If things do happen, it's dealt with really quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate and Adam. It's very interesting to hear, Kate, about the fact that for every child it's different, and the flexibility that's there to establish whatever the child needs is very important. And then it's very important to hear from both Adams about how it's affected you both. And I think, we had an event yesterday for the head boys and girls, and they did a great job. I think also the senior pupils in the school are all role models, so you guys represent that. So it's really encouraging to see. That's just my initial comments. I don't know if anyone else from the committee would have any questions or comments you'd like to make. Councillor Buchanan.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Kate, and thanks, boys. Thanks, Adam and Adam. Fantastic report. I think it speaks for itself. It speaks volumes for the services that we deliver across East Renfrewshire, and it highlights the fact that it's not just about passing exams. It's about a whole person concept and a much more holistic approach. And our young people are a shining and positive example of that, and realistically fantastic ambassadors for our schools and for our area, and that in itself is tantamount to the report and the positive aspects that come out from that. I think it also very much puts us on the front line again in terms of continuous improvement and highlighting the good work that has gone on for some time and continues to do so. And I think when we see the full report on things like the national discussion coming forward, and very much the work that you're doing just now will stand us in good stead for what I hope will be the outcomes of that national discussion. But it highlights, not just the ambition, it highlights the inclusiveness and the supportive nature of the work that we are doing, and that's fantastic. So thank you very much, and give a credit to the area boys. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buchanan. Dorothy?
Thank you very much. Now, I was just going to say, I find it very humbling, but also very reassuring to hear from the young people this morning. So I thank you for your courage in coming forward and sharing things that are not always very easy to share. But it's very reassuring, particularly over the last few years. And then I know the way that young people have suffered. So please continue doing what you're doing. We very much appreciate it. So thank you and all the best.
Thank you, Dorothy. Any other comments? Just checking online. Questions? Can I ask a couple of questions about the policy and its formation? One of them, the first one, is actually about the consultation and how that was actually carried out and done through various bodies or online or questionnaires or actually one.
We used a different range of opportunities. So through the ASN review, we had consulted with a number of parents and carers through the Parent Council Chair Forum and also the Equalities Forum. We also had reached out to individual school parent councils. We also had a sort of online questionnaire that went out to staff across all schools, and that was whether it was senior leaders, teachers, pupil support assistants, child development officers, educational psychologists. We also had a number of focus groups for children and young people. That included a range of children and young people, so from primary school, secondary school, some of our specialist provisions. We were really keen to make sure that everybody's voices were included within that, and from that there was a whole wealth of really valuable information around sort of behaviour and ethos and approaches to supporting children within schools. When it came to the actual update of the policy, we took all of that data, but we also formed a working group that represented a number of staff across various establishments in the authority to sort of work together so that there is that sort of joint ownership, and following that we will be sharing it at Parent Council and also Pupil Council meetings.
Excellent, thank you. One thing that also did occur to me, obviously, we have the denominational schools, if I can say it properly, like Calderwood Lodge and etc. and St Luke's and all the primary schools and Ninians, etc. So, in terms of the faith, obviously, schools, and what they attempt to convey as part of their faiths, like, so was that taken into consideration as part of it as well?
So I think the approaches that we're advocating through the policy would apply regardless of which school you go to or which faith you have. It's about that child-centred approach. It's about every child's human rights and making sure that children do enjoy the right to be safe, protected from harm, listen to, meet with other children, join groups. So it's very much a rights-based approach, but also with that sort of restorative element. So developing that understanding of the impact of actions and what you can do to change that, and how to change your approach, change your behaviours to have a positive impact on other people.
Thank you. I'm also very conscious of obviously there's the adults and the relationships between the staff, the pupils, etc. It's very encouraging for the pupils to be here about the anti-bullying and so forth, because as we know, children themselves can, tend to exclude other children. And so it's very encouraging to hear the approaches that have been taken. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No, great, thanks very much. And we'll move on then to item 4 on the agenda, and this is a report from Janice about an Education Scotland report on Hazeldean Family Centre. Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. This paper informs Education Committee of the report by Education Scotland on Hazeldean Family Centre. Hazeldean Family Centre is situated in the community of Newton Mearns. The family centre was inspected by Education Scotland in January 2023. Under the arrangements, Education Scotland used the full model of inspection to evaluate 4 quality indicators and provide a short report detailing strengths and areas for improvement. A copy of the report is included in your appendices. In assessing the indicators of quality in the family centre, Education Scotland found 2 aspects of the work of the school to be good, namely leadership of change, learning, teaching and assessment, and 2 aspects to be very good, securing children's progress and ensuring well-being, equality and inclusion. The key strengths are listed in paragraph 9 of the cover paper. They include the effective leadership of the head teacher and leadership team in successfully implementing new ways of working, the strong culture of professional learning that supports practitioners to improve their practice. Another key strength was all staff support children to feel secure, curious and make very good progress across their learning. This is a very good report on an East Renfrewshire Family Centre, with the evaluations made by Education Scotland reflecting the introduction of 1140 hours. The department is pleased with the very good progress of the children across the curriculum, and especially that was noted in the report. The inspection team agreed 2 areas for improvement for the Family Centre and the Education Department. The first one being to continue to improve the use of environments and experiences in order to challenge all children to apply their skills and lead their own learning. And the second action, to develop further the involvement of all children, staff and partners in leading improvements, and practitioners develop further their skills and confidence in evaluating the impact of the changes on children's progress. Appendix 2 of the paper sets out the Family Centre's action plan to address these agreed actions for improvement. The Quality Improvement Service will work closely with the leadership team to support its implementation and will revisit the nursery within 2 years of the date of the publication of the report. Elected members are asked to note and comment on the contents of the Education Scotland report in Hazeldean Family Centre and approve the action plan to address these areas of improvement. Thank you, Convener.
Thank you, Janice. I should actually, sorry, just a point of order. The previous paper, we were asked to approve and comment on the promoting positive relationships and asked the Director of Education to take appropriate steps to implement in all schools. the committee's happy to approve the previous. Thank you. Apologies for that, and apologies, Janice, for interrupting there. And thank you very much for the report on Hazeldean. And I believe we have Mr. Beck with us, Justin, to talk to us about this. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. It's lovely to be here. I'm very pleased that our respectful, caring relationships and welcoming, supportive ethos were highlighted as key strengths of the centre. Relationships are at the heart of everything that we do at Hazeldean, so it was lovely to have this recognised. Furthermore, highlighting that all staff support children to feel secure, be curious, and make very good progress across their learning has affirmed our new approach to child-led inquiry through our Talking and Thinking Floorbook approach, which centres children's voices at the heart of our planning process. Throughout the report, there was numerous references to our amazing children. I was delighted, though not surprised, to see references to their voice and agency being developed through open-ended questions, tone of voice, and engaging children in asking big questions. We are incredibly proud of them every day as they continue to develop their skills and experience in being successful learners. Close partnership working with parents and families is very important to us. Hazeldean is a family centre and we take this role very seriously. We focus strongly on re-engaging with our families, actively consulting and involving them in a range of opportunities within the setting. I was delighted to read that these very caring and respectful relationships that practitioners have developed with families means that parental engagement on a daily basis is very positive. Hazeldean Family Centre is very well placed to take forward the recommendations in the report, due primarily to the dedication and collegiality of the staff. I would like to thank all members of the staff team, teachers, child development officers, play workers, and all of our partners for their enthusiasm and commitment. I'd also like to thank the Convener of Education and all members of the Education Committee for their support, the Quality Improvement team and heads of service from the Education Department who provide invaluable ongoing support and advice to myself as a fairly newly appointed head teacher. And of course, my biggest thanks go to the children of Hazeldean Family Centre who at 3 and 4 years old showcase every day a hunger and a thirst for learning. And I look forward to working with all of our partners as we strive to continually improve outcomes for all of our learners. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Justin, and it is a very good report. Congratulations, and yeah, it's great to hear so many good things happening there, and yeah, it's obviously the 4 factors as well, and it's obviously great to see. Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments from the committee? Sorry, Councillor Buchanan.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, thanks very much, Justin, again, and well done. Congratulations on the report, and indeed thanks to the children because they are the key in all of this. And I think very much like the previous paper that we just heard, it highlights the work that goes on in our early learning centres, and that stands us in very good stead, not just for the future, but for the future of those children moving through our education system, and that gives them the best possible start. That is something that we've been striving to put in place, and we hope continues. But congratulations on the report. Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Buchanan. Online? No. Yeah, I particularly like echo what Councillor Buchanan just said there, and also about the highlighting of the almost all children were developing their communication, numeracy, and mathematical skills very well, even at such an early stage. It's great, as Councillor Buchanan says, for the future. The foundations that you're building there. Great, thanks very much. So, any other questions or comments? No. We're asked to note and comment and approve the action plan that goes with the report, so that there can be further improvements. Committee happy to agree. Thank you. And move on to the next item agenda, and we have another Educating Scotland report, item number 5 on Crookford Primary School and Family Centre. And Janice, it's you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. Once again, this paper informs Education Committee on the report by Education Scotland on Crookford Primary School and Family Centre. Crookford Family Centre is part of Crookford Primary and is situated in a separate purpose-built setting 1 mile away. Both serve the community of Newton Mearns and are led by one head teacher. The Family Centre and school were inspected by Education Scotland in December 2022. Under the short model arrangements, Education Scotland evaluated 2 quality indicators and provided a report detailing strengths and areas for improvement. A copy of the reports are included as part of their appendices. In assessing the indicators of quality in the Family Centre, Education Scotland found 2 aspects of the work of the Family Centre and of the school to be very good: learning, teaching and assessment, and securing children's progress, raising attainment and achievement. The key strengths are listed in paragraph 9 of the cover paper, and they include the nurturing ethos and positive relationships that exist across Crookford Primary School and Family Centre, led ably by the head teacher and senior leaders, children and families, leading to them feeling welcomed and part of a strong community. The very stimulating environment in the Family Centre, where children have freedom to explore, create and learn through high quality play, and the consistently high levels of children's progress, attainment and achievement across both the Family Centre and the school. This is a very good report on an education in an East Renfrewshire Family Centre and school, with the evaluations made by Education Scotland reflecting that continued commitment and efforts by the school leadership team and the parents to support and mitigate against the impact of COVID-19 and the subsequent school closures to ensure that children of Crookford achieve the best possible outcomes. It is pleasing that the highly reflective team who seek continuous improvement were recognised as part of the report. The inspection team agreed 2 areas for improvement with the Family Centre, School and Education Department, both notably about continuing plans that the school already had in place. So to continue to develop approaches to high quality learning, teaching and assessment across the school and the Family Centre, involving children and parents more fully in planning next steps in learning, and continue to support children to articulate fully the skills for learning, life and work they're developing through their learning and achievements. Also, the leadership Appendix 2 of the paper sets out their action plan to address the agreed areas of improvement. The Quality Improvement Service will work closely with the school and the leadership team to support its implementation, and will revisit within 2 years of the date of publication. Elected members are asked to note and comment on the reports for the Family Centre and school and approve the contents of the action plan to address the agreed areas of improvement. Apologies and thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Excellent. Again, great to see another very good report. And any comments or questions from the committee? Sorry, oh, thank you, Fiona.
I pressed. I would just like to say it's a fabulous report. I've had connections with Crookford Primary for years. My 2 sons went to Crookford Primary, my granddaughter's at Crookford Primary. I've always found it a very welcoming school. I had to go to parents' night because my son and daughter-in-law had COVID, and they asked me if I would go to parents' night. I was made very welcome. I was a wee bit lost in the new building, but was very welcomed, and people were showing me around. I just want to say, fabulous report, and all the best for the future. I wish you well.
Thank you, Fiona.
Chair Sheena McGuigan is here from the school.
Yes, sorry, apologies, Jennifer. I forgot to introduce her. Thanks for reminding me. And just great, thanks very much for that, Fiona. It does help immensely to hear an actual experience, you know, externally. Thank you. And apologies, Sheena, I didn't introduce you. If you'd like to say a few words about the report.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for your kind words. So thank you, Janice, for introducing, and to the convener and committee members for the opportunity to speak with you today. You might know that prior to a recent inspection, HMIE last visited Crookford Primary in 2007. So this inspection was almost felt quite long overdue, and there was a great weight of expectation and anticipation amongst the staff. So it was almost a sense of relief that we were no longer waiting and the staff and children were very eager to exemplify the high quality practice in our school and family centre. So as noted, this was a short model inspection focusing on learning, teaching and assessment and securing children's progress, reasoning, attainment and achievement. And given the outcome of our inspection, I'm confident that the quality indicators that weren't formally evaluated are strengths in our school and family centre, and I'm confident that the visiting team would have validated our own self-evaluation in those areas. I'm extremely pleased with the content of both reports, which highlight our nurturing ethos, a culture which reflects our vision and values, the positive relationships and our strong sense of community across the school and family centre. Sorry, I'm so nervous. The managing inspector made reference to the deliberate inclusion of the statement that all staff create a positive and safe learning environment. She made a point of noting that it was evident to the team that in addition to practitioners, teaching and pupil support staff, our catering team, our office and janitorial staff also play a really vital role. Within the report, aspects of learning and teaching and assessment, which have been the focus of our improvement planning, were identified as strengths, and it's reassuring to know that the development work we've undertaken in the school and family centre has had this positive impact. This included the systematic and consistent approaches to planning, skillful use of a range of assessment approaches, and the development of a shared understanding of attainment and progress across levels in the curriculum through moderation. So when taken together, this means our teachers and practitioners have a comprehensive knowledge of children's learning and their progress, providing effective opportunities for skills progression and a continuity in their learning. Within the learning experience observed, I'm really pleased the inspection reports recognise and commend our approaches to outdoor learning, the development of digital skills and opportunities for children to lead their own learning, and leadership of learning is an area we're keen to continue to develop and improve. Approaches to questioning and high quality interactions were noted as a particular strength in the family centre, as well as clarity of teachers' explanations and instructions in the school. So despite the challenges faced by all of us over the last few years, the children in Crookford have continued to flourish. Overall, almost all children make very good progress in literacy, numeracy and literacy in English, numeracy and mathematics, with a considerable number exceeding expected levels. This is a trend which has been consistent over time, despite the challenges of the global pandemic, and is testament to the hard work and incredible talent of our Crookford team and children. I believe it's also been achieved as the result of the strength of our education department, not just in the strategic leadership and guidance provided during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the whole system of continuous improvement. Whether it's been through the provision of quality professional development opportunities, the support of our quality improvement team, authority guidance, reviews, critical friends, taken together, the outcome of our inspection reflects the effectiveness of the department. I'd like to offer my thanks to the Director and all of the ELT and Quality Improvement team, particularly to Janice Collins and Rosamond Rodriguez for their support, and also the Convener and Education Committee for their support of the department in schools and centres. The recommendations of the report reflect the improvement priorities we have identified through our own self-evaluation. Our approaches to addressing these are outlined in the action plan that you have, and I'm very confident we have the capacity to improve and are well placed to take the recommendations forward. I'm very privileged to be the head teacher of Crookford Primary and Family Centre. As Justin said, our children are outstanding. It's a joy to work with them every day. We have a wonderful staff team and a very supportive community. We'll continue to strive towards our aspirational vision and provide excellent outcomes for children and families.
Great, thanks very much, Gina. And it's excellent to hear that difference in, from your perspective and all the different areas of support and where you've received them from, and obviously it's ended in this very good report. Any other questions or comments? Sorry, thanks. Des. Sorry, Des, your microphone wasn't on. I missed the last bit. Okay, thank you. Councillor Buchanan.
Yeah, again, to echo some of the remarks already made, thanks again, Sheena, for such a comprehensive report, and indeed for the work that you and your team do throughout the school. I know that it's very much appreciated, and certainly I know from the parents as well, who have been very active in the school, and I know that they're extremely supportive of that and everything that you do. Again, you know, we start to run out of words, I think, in terms of how our schools, our early learning centres perform, because again, one after the other, they continue to continually improve, which in itself is extremely difficult from the starting point that we're at. So to continue in that vein is fantastic. Fantastic report, given that it's been some time since there was one, and given the challenges of the last few years, to be coming through that with a report such as this is outstanding, and a testament to all of the work, and indeed to the holistic approach that we have across education to ensure that we do our utmost to get it right for every child. And that's vital going forward. So thanks once again for that.
Thank you, Councillor Buchanan. Actually, interestingly, your comment about, so in terms of the timings of these, is Education Scotland that really control when they make them, so it's not out with, so it's not necessarily anything to concern us about or worry about?
Education Scotland, they set the time, but I suppose what complements it is the department's internal quality assurance. So as Sheena would tell you, and Justin, that although Education Scotland's visits have not been as frequent in recent years, the department very much works alongside schools to make sure that we're self-evaluating in partnership. And so there shouldn't be any surprises.
Well, actually, yeah, that's another observation, Janice, that I think it's a quite common theme as well, our own evaluation of it, and the school themselves, and Chair mentioned that, you know, and the fact that you're already working on it, you know, and it's a continuous improvement, as Councillor Buchanan said, it's a difficult thing to keep on doing, but we're very fortunate to have the staff in the schools and family centres that we have. Thank you. One thing I noted as well, and it's relevant to the first item, the particular strengths, and it was this nurturing ethos and the positive relationships. And it's, we've now, obviously, we already have this promoting positive relationships and behaviour in East Hampshire's ELC settings in schools. So it's nice to see it then in another report that's separate from, you know, what we had in the first one. Very encouraging. Thank you. And any other comments or questions? No. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Sheena, for coming along. And Mr. Beck, are you still with us? Okay. Thank you. And sorry, Jennifer. Yes, sorry, committee, if we could actually note and hold on, I'm on to the next one. Could we note, we've done a note and comment and approve the action plan for the school. Committee's happy to approve. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. And okay, well, we're able now to move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is from Graham, and I believe it's the draft home to school transport policy. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you very much, Convener. The purpose of this report is to update elected members on the draft home to school transport policy and seek approval to carry out a non-statutory consultation with relevant appropriate stakeholders. Just by way of background, as highlighted in the covering report, the Council has statutory responsibilities for the provision of school transport for pupils attending both mainstream and ESN schools. Within East Hampshire, mainstream transport is provided for pupils residing 2 or more miles from their allocated primary school and 3 or more miles from their allocated secondary school. And this is a more generous offering than that outlined within the legislation. Members will note that these have been the qualifying distances for a number of years, and the history of the provision is detailed in paragraph 6 of the cover paper. Paragraphs 8 and 9 go on to detail the transport in place for pupils attending their ESN provision. Of course, this can often be more complex than mainstream provision, you often have a kind of greater degree of personalisation to meet individual pupil needs as required. Turning to the main report itself, members will note the draft policy is attached as Appendix 1. I appreciate it as a long document, so just to kind of pick out a few key points. In terms of the policy, I think it's important to note that this builds on the existing practice in place. It's intended to effectively codify the current approach. It's not intended as a sort of radical change to the existing provision that is made available for pupils. The introduction of the policy will, it is hoped, provide greater clarity for families, pupils and our staff in both within schools, nurseries and across the department. At present, whilst there is a bit of a basic policy in place, it's primarily based on practice and given the increasing number of often quite complex requests and inquiries, there is a need for a more consistent approach across all of our provision. In developing the policy, we've based it on 4 key principles, and these are set out at the outset of the document. And these are meeting pupil needs, minimising transport time, ensuring best value, and also being mindful of the Council's wider commitments around Get to Zero and the wider environmental agenda. And these are intended to inform the provision of all school transport. Importantly, as noted in paragraph 14, the draft policy also aligns closely to the Scottish Government's national guidance, which we've sought to reflect throughout the policy. Draft policy is also benchmarked against similar policies that are in place across a number of neighbouring local authorities. If I can also just briefly draw members' attention to the finance section of the report, starting from paragraph 17. Members will be very aware of the impact of the high inflation rate over the last year across the entire council, and obviously this has been particularly significant within transport given rising fuel costs. Whilst I think it's important to note the draft policy won't result necessarily in any significant changes to the existing provision, the increased costs emphasise the importance of considering best value when delivering this service, and that cost is something we need to be very mindful of, and that's why we've really included that within the draft principles that are contained within the draft policy. So turning now to the proposed consultation, members will note that whilst there is no statutory requirement for a consultation to be undertaken, we are proposing to carry out a non-statutory consultation over the coming weeks ahead of a final version of the policy being considered. Recognising different groups that obviously access transport, we'll be consulting through a range of methods, focusing both on mainstream and ESM provision. Just for clarity, the mainstream consultation will be undertaken primarily through online means, and we'll be consulting with parents and pupils through a kind of online consultation. But obviously we'll be having a specific focus for those accessing ESM provision, with focus groups planned for both pupils and families who currently access that provision, to obviously consult with them on the draft policy. These activities are set to take place throughout May, and with a subsequent report and finalised version of the policy being brought to the June meeting of this committee for final consideration. So in conclusion, convener, the draft policy updates and codifies the existing practice in place across transport provision within East Renfrewshire. Given the importance of meeting the needs of pupils, a non-statutory consultation is proposed over the next 4 weeks before being brought again to the next meeting of committee in June. So therefore, the recommendations are that elected members are asked to note the draft policy, approve the undertaking of a non-statutory consultation on that policy, and request that a report of the consultation be returned to committee at the June meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Is there any questions or comments on the draft home to school transport policy? Councillor McCann?
Yeah, thanks, Graham, for going over the report. I know it is fairly substantial and often is, as transport has been over the years, and it can be, again, controversial. So I think it's the right thing to do, is to go out, although not statutory, to go out to consultation, to speak with the parents and the users of the services to ensure that we try and get it as close to meeting their needs as we possibly can. We appreciate the restrictions, I think, that are on it and have been for some time, and that's always going to be a difficult balance. I know there have been some issues in terms of the ASN provision, but not because they're not getting access to transport, but sometimes because of the length of time that a child may be on the bus. So I think it's right that we have that view and we get the views of the parents involved, and the consultation enables us to do that. So thanks again for the paper. I'm happy to agree it.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. Sorry, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, this echo what Councillor McCann is saying. It's good to think to bring it together, and I think that's the word codify really means, isn't it? Because it was separate in lots of different places and makes sense to have a comprehensive policy that everyone can refer to externally, internally, and so there's clarity for everyone. The only observation, and obviously it's key from the committee and councillors, the consultation is non-statutory, but it's important. But it's making sure as many people participate as possible. If we can all, if you know anyone, school transport is a particular area of concern for them, or they use it, then we make sure everyone feeds in. I don't think there's really much changing ultimately within it. It's just bringing it together, but just to make sure that we have that external gratification, if that's the right word, from parents that use it, that parent councils, etc. I'm sure will be told about it. So it'll be interesting. And obviously, so we're asked to, unless there's any other comments or questions, we're asked to note that the draft and approve the Director for Education to proceed with the non-statutory consultation, and we'll get the report back. The Director will report back with the consultation Education Committee in June, and is the committee happy to proceed? Okay, thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to item 7 on the agenda now, and this is the Early Learning and Childcare Annual Report, and this will be from Janice. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Convener. The purpose of the report is to update members on the approaches taken to develop early learning and childcare services. The report outlines the next steps to further improve the quality, flexibility and accessibility and affordability of provision and experiences for young children. The report sets out the quality of provision, the quality of the early years workforce, the flexibility offered to East Renfrewshire residents and the accessibility of ELC available across East Renfrewshire. Again, to pick out a few key areas that members may wish to note, first being page 84 of your papers, paragraphs 10 to 15, charts 1, 2 and 3, which highlight the consistent picture of good, very good and excellent evaluations in terms of external inspection for our ELC settings and those who work in partnership with us by both Education Scotland and the Care Inspectorate. Page 86, paragraph 17, chart 4, details our developmental milestones history by areas of deprivation, and from 21 to 22 to 22 to 23, the performance of children living in our lowest deciles has increased by 6%. It has remained the same for deciles 4 to 7 and increased by 3% for those living in deciles 8 to 10. Following the lockdown periods during 2020-2021, there has been a significant reversal in the previous reduction in the gap between the achievement of those from the most affluent and the least affluent areas, with the gap reaching 20% in 2021, but reducing to 17% in 21 to 22 and reducing further to 14% in 22-23. Still too big, but it's positive to show that we are beginning to recover and reduce that gap. Page 87, paragraphs 20 and 2021, charts 5 to 6, highlights our baseline assessment ROSE scores history. In contrast to developmental milestones, overall performance in literacy and numeracy has remained consistent with previous years, with a slight decrease in numeracy. The standardised scores for literacy and numeracy show a consistent pattern in terms of gender, with over the past 3 years, boys outperforming girls in numeracy and literacy, where girls outperforming in literacy. Page 88, paragraph 27, details the commitment to all East Renfrewshire children to receive a high quality early learning childcare experience, with continued funding for the peripatetic ELC teacher to support all children who attend funded provider nursery in East Renfrewshire. The teacher works flexibly with each setting to support them in delivering aspects of learning and teaching in line with their improvement plans. She also provides effective support and challenge for individual children, ensuring they're able to access the curriculum and make positive progress in their learning and development. Page 89, paragraph 32, chart 7 illustrates the level of flexibility and choice our models of delivery that are on offer for ERC residents. There continues to be a number of parents wishing to access extended provision, which is full days, 8 o'clock to 6 p.m, in our settings. Members will recall that core hours, which are 9 to 3 over term time, was the most popular option when introduced. This model was introduced to family centres, and we have seen an increase of parents choosing that option, with 34 more families choosing that in 22-23. The longer concessions combined with full year provision can also account for the downward trend in parents choosing funded providers. Page 90, paragraph 37, highlights how the Education Department is continually evaluating provision, ensuring that models offered continue to meet the choice and flexibility of needs. To support with this moving forward, it is proposed to change Calderwood Lodge Nursery class to a family centre, which will then be able to offer full year provision to families living in the west of Newton Mearns. At the moment, Calderwood Lodge Nursery class offers a limited service out of the standard time to accommodate the attendance patterns of children of families who wish to celebrate the Jewish calendar. As detailed in page 91, paragraph 42, the Department will further enhance this offer for session 23-24 by introducing more full days, 5 days a week options. The provision of early learning and childcare specified Order 2014 sets out starting and stopping dates for eligibility to access funded early learning childcare. Eligible 2- and 3-year-olds are eligible for funded early learning childcare from the beginning of the first term after a child's 2nd or 3rd birthday. In your papers, paragraph 45 details that the eligibility start dates for ELC in East Renfrewshire will change as of August 2023. Page 93, paragraphs 55 to 58 details how the Department will continue to fill its statutory duty to provide early learning childcare to all eligible children by expanding provision in the Barrhead and Neilston community from January 2024. Education Committee is asked to note and comment on the contents as outlined in the paper. Thank you, Convener.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you for that. And can I ask the committee for any questions or comments on the annual report? Councillor McCann.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Again, I think a very timely report, particularly given the other items on the agenda today, and indeed a very welcome report showing the improvements that, again, have been made despite difficult circumstances. But the move in itself to the 1140 hours was going to be challenging, without some of the other aspects that occurred just prior to it and indeed during it. But we have still managed to overcome those difficulties and set out our stall, which is highlighted in this paper, and again has been a fantastic service for the area, and the outcomes, I don't doubt, as we've seen already in some of the earlier reports, will speak for themselves. I think, again, one of the main issues is we too often don't blow our own trumpet, if you like, of the things that we do well and we get right, and I think the service provision has been first class in delivering and expanding our early learning and childcare, and that's testament to the Education Department and to all our staff across the department and beyond to ensure that we get that right. There will always be challenges, and we know that some still exist, and indeed I know that there'll be a paper going to COSLA leaders, I think just at the end of this month, which again will highlight ELC and its successes. We've proposed that we do a featured document to say how 1140 hours has impacted, not just here in East Renfrewshire, but across Scotland, and the improvements that have been seen because of that. We clearly see those improvements, and we will continue to do so in support of that. But that comes with its challenges as well, as we roll out further beyond 1140 hours, as we look at the increase to wraparound care, as we look at the many issues for 1- and 2-year-olds being rolled out, and the capacity issues that we have. Again, there are challenges there, and I'm sure that we will work closely with government to ensure that we can roll that out, and I don't doubt that we will have the successes that we see here, and that will continue. So thanks again, Janice, for the report, and to everyone involved.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. Dorothy?
Just a brief comment, Janice. You highlighted page 87, that paragraph 19, about the significant reversal in the previous reduction in the gap between achievement of those in the most affluent deciles and those in the least affluent, and it's really gratifying. I'm delighted that that's, for your sake and for the Education Department, it just shows how much of an impact your work and your intervention and all that you've done can make. And it's now, we're not, as you say, we're not there yet, but it's certainly very encouraging that we're getting back, hopefully, back onto the track of recovery. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dorothy. Yeah, I think it's probably a section that maybe a lot of us would have noticed. And the worrying, obviously in a pandemic, it's unfortunate a lot of the time the areas of deprivation are where the children, suffer the most, but we're thankfully seeing it coming back again. And I'm conscious of the fact that it's a very good report, but it's an annual one. And so obviously, I'm assuming the education department will be actually keeping an eye on that, because, hopefully in a year's time we will see that it gets better still. But do you have quarterly or biannual reports that to get stats on it to make sure of that, or?
Yeah, I'm happy to come in and answer that one, Councillor Anderson. Yeah, we on an annual basis we undertake assessments, I suppose, if you want to call it that phrase, with children and young people as they enter into the Premium 1 stages. So we look at the performance across a variety of different measures, as has been reported in the paper this time. So, for example, the developmental milestones of children, their ability and their developments over a period of time is monitored. In addition to that, in entry to Premium 1, we also undertake literacy and numeracy assessments with the children. Again, I use the phrase assessments very lightly. They're not assessments as such. They are informal discussions between members of staff and those children to determine their abilities within those particular areas of the curriculum. And then staff will use those assessments and the outcomes of those to identify the areas of needs and developments for those children on an ongoing basis. But further than that, we also share that information with the early learning and childcare establishments that those children attended. So it then allows those establishments to reflect on the children and their development needs, and then to build upon that in future years to identify areas for improvement. In addition to that, we also have an early years tracking system, which is in place, and all of our establishments are able to monitor, in the early learning and childcare sector, are able to monitor the developments of children on an ongoing basis, as and when they are observing the children and they're interacting with the children, and are able to identify the achievements of our children, and that's recorded centrally and monitored and tracked both at an individual establishment level, but also by the education department. And again, that information helps with transitions. So as children move forward and transition into the primary sector, that information is shared with those establishments to make sure that they have very good knowledge of the children's skills, developments and areas for improvement over a period of time. So that's something that we do track, we do monitor, and we report on that both here to committee through this paper, but also to our head teachers and heads of establishments as part of our meetings with head teachers and heads of early learning and childcare. We'll share that analysis with them via presentations and further analysis.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I think it's quite reassuring to hear that obviously then you detect things and you immediately look to remedy the situation or improve things or whatever's necessary.
Yeah, and I should have added, in addition to that, of course, that's then further supported by the quality improvement team, who will then analyse that information and work with their own individual establishments and collectively as a team to identify areas for improvement and to provide that support and challenge that we've already heard about from our head teachers this morning.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or observations, questions? No, great, thank you. And so, yeah, we're simply asked to note the continued progress and delivery and the contents of the paper, and I guess we'll see it again in a year's time. Yeah, but with safe in the knowledge that at least it's going to be monitored and scrutinised continuously. Great, thank you. And okay, so move on to the last item on the agenda, item number 8, and it's Beyond Equity, a social justice framework for education in East Renfrewshire, and it will be presented by Siobhan. Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. The purpose of this report is to update Education Committee on the development of the Education Department's Social Justice Framework Beyond Equity, a social justice framework for education in East Renfrewshire Council, which can be seen in Appendix 1, and our Social Justice Strategy for 2023 to 2026, which is Appendix 2. The Social Justice Framework has been developed with children's rights at the heart of it. It's based on the belief that education in East Renfrewshire should be inclusive for all children and young people, and as such, it's linked to key policy drivers such as the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child, Getting It Right for Every Child, the Promise, the Additional Support for Learning Review, and the Equality Act 2010. It's framed around 3 dimensions of social justice, which include redistribution, recognition, and representation, and it provides research, guidance, and resources to support settings in schools to achieve these dimensions. And this includes guidance related to the use of resources, learning, teaching, and assessment, curriculum design, professional learning and development, recruitment and retention, and relationships with learners, families, and the community. And you'll see in the document a lot of the stuff is policies and support that's already in place. So, for example, the English as an additional language guidance, the rights, respect and school approach, cost of the school day, but it's really tying all of those together within a framework to support staff. And alongside this, there's the 3-year social justice strategy, which has been developed alongside the framework. And this strategy outlines the steps the Education Department will take in order to make improvements over the period. And this includes improving knowledge, understanding and skills related to social justice, improving equity in attainment and achievement, improving recognition of diverse identities within the curriculum and through learning, teaching and assessment, improve the representation of diverse children, young people, families and staff in the life and work of settings in schools, and reduce barriers which limit the involvement and engagement of specific groups of children and young people, their parents and carers and staff. So Education Committee is asked to note and comment on Beyond Equity, a social justice framework for education in East Renfrewshire Council, and our social justice strategy 23 to 26, approve the key priorities identified in the driver diagram, and ask the Director of Education to take appropriate steps to ensure they are implemented in all schools in early learning and childcare settings. And I have a video from one of our schools, St Mark's Primary School, that I think absolutely captures what I've tried to say here into what that means for children and young people and how they feel within school. But I'm aware of the time and the number of papers, so I thought we could include the link out in the minutes of the meeting. And if you have an opportunity, I would encourage you to look at it because it absolutely brings the strategy to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Yeah, I'd very much like to see that, I think, and if we can, circulate it to all the members of the committee. Sorry, Des, comment?
Yes, that's good. I thought you were inviting colleagues.
No, absolutely, I am. Sorry, I'm just looking forward to the video. On you go.
Maybe I was a bit premature. No, it was just really to say that I think the framework and the strategy are really comprehensive documents. There's an absolute wealth of information contained in them, and I think that it is timely to see and read all that. I was drawn to the recruitment and retention section, probably not unsurprisingly, on page 114. And just in connection with that, I thought it probably would be useful for me to inform the committee that from an EIS perspective, our local association had its inaugural BAME network meeting in February. We held it up at Parklands, and it was led by Black and minority ethnic members of the local association. It was very well attended. I actually personally couldn't attend it because of another commitment, but I understand that it was very, very successful. Glasgow Local Association has had such a network for many years. My understanding is East Renfrewshire never has. So, and this was an initiative of BME members within our local association. So it's very, very welcome. And obviously, kind of going forward, any opportunity for partnership working, we would welcome. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks very much, Des. Yeah, a key word actually, partnership approach in many ways, and actually I remember seeing it in previous papers as well. So it's a key thing, and I absolutely agree. Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Buchanan?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, again, I mean, this might be the last item on the agenda, but it very much, this paper underpins everything that has gone before in today's agenda, because it sets out where we want to be aiming for, where we want to be, and I think that is crucial going forward. We have, as we all know, for many years been potentially ahead of the curve in many aspects, and I think this paper highlights the reasons for that, but also puts us in a very good position for what is likely to be a national position that will be coming, whether it's through the national discussion, whether it's through children's rights, or whether it's through GIRFEC, etc. And the promise, all of those things combined and underpinning this document about where we want our education services to be and what we can deliver for our children and young people is vital and is set out in this document. I think it touches very much on that all learners in East Renfrewshire matter, indeed all learners in Scotland matter to us going forward. And I think the fact that we have ambition, we have inclusiveness, and we have it done in a supportive manner is vital in the role that we take going forward. And that underpinning of everything that we do should hopefully lead to that greater or better equity in all of the outcomes that we want to see. Narrowing the poverty attainment gap has been a key aspect of the work over a number of years. It has had its difficulties through the pandemic, but we know we're getting back on track with that. And again, to see those figures coming down and that work continuing. And this enables us to put in place all of the mechanisms that will hopefully to see the reduction again in that poverty attainment gap and ensure that equity of outcome and the life chances for all our children and young people. So thanks again, Siobhan, for bringing the paper forward. I think it's vital that we do understand that this plays a huge part in all of our services moving forward. And again, as was mentioned, partnerships, yes, it's education and it's delivery, but it's also working across the council with family support, with social work, indeed with environment as well, and in terms of housing. It's ensuring that all of the things in place to narrow that poverty attainment gap are there. And if they're underpinned with this ethos, then hopefully that's the situation that will deliver the outcome that we all want to see. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buchanan. Any other questions or comment? Your microphone, Councillor, sorry. Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree with Councillor Buchanan, and I think this document brings everything together incredibly well, and it is far-reaching and it's coherent, and for anyone actually wanting to understand about all the different aspects of what we're trying to do, it brings it all together, and it's incredibly invaluable. So thank you very much, Sean. And any other questions or comments on that? That's great. Thank you very much. And well, I think that's us at the end of the meeting today. Sorry, Jennifer.
Approving the report.
Oh, terribly sorry. Yet again, sorry, note and comment, and can we, we've done that, and approve the key priorities that are identified, which again, another bit invaluable part of the document, and ask the Director of Education to take appropriate steps to ensure they are implemented in all schools and early learning and childcare settings. Committee is happy to. Great, thank you. Okay, so that brings the meeting to an end. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending online and in person. Nice to see you all. Thank you.